Hi there. Building a large language model from scratch can be quite daunting. It requires a lot of setup, plus it also requires a lot of coding. But if you want to learn large language model, it is important to build a large language model for yourself. But today I'm going to show you on how this can be done in a very easy way, in a very interactive way. So you can do this also on my platform data.jarvis.ai, and let me show you how. So here on this platform, I'm going to go to this application which is titled as Large Language Model Learning Lab. So let us select this. And here you'll see a visual representation of all the steps which are involved in building your own large language model. And in each of these steps, I've also given a brief description about what this step is about so that it will help you easily understand all the steps of the large language model training. The first step is a tokenizer. In tokenizer, there are two ways to tokenize the text. First is a character level tokenizer, and second is a word level tokenizer. So let us go ahead with this word level tokenizer for this exercise. Now the next step is to select the data. So there are two ways to select the data set over here. First is to use a standard data set, and I've uploaded a standard data set which is based on Shakespeare language, and as you can see over here, this is text coming from Shakespeare, but you can also upload your own text file. But for this exercise, we are going to go ahead and select this Shakespeare data set. Now the next step is to set up the architecture, and I think this is a very important step in the whole large language model process. This architecture of a large language model is basically based on a transformer architecture. And in this, you have the first layer, which is corresponding to the input tokens. These input tokens are then transferred to another layer, which is called as the token embedding or the positional embedding layer. Now, the token embedding is going to translate each word into a numerical vector, and the positional embedding is going to add some values to the token embedding so that you can differentiate the positions of the tokens. Now, the next is this famous attention layer mechanism, which then passes on the data to the final layer, which is then going to produce an output which is based on this ChatGPT style text generation. Now here are the different parameters of this architecture, and we are going to set up 4 layers, and we are also going to set up an embedding size, which is this embedding of each token equal to 128. You can also set up some other parameters, and if you stay with these default parameters, you will see that this is almost about 1 million parameter model, and for this reason it is also called as a large language model. Now the next is to set up some training hyperparameters. So this consists of how many times your loop or training loop will take place, and this is called as iterations. In this case, we are going with a maximum iterations of 500. You can also set up the batch size, learning rate, as well as an evaluation interval. Now let us go ahead with this particular setting, and this is also now going to generate a sample code which is based on the parameters what you have set. So this is very interesting because you do not have to write the code from the scratch, but the complete code for a large language model training is based on your parameters, what you have set already. And this helps you to actually accelerate the understanding and the learning of large language model. Now, in this particular code also, I've given a lot of commentary so that you can easily understand what this code is about. Now, the next step is to train the large language model, and this step can take time, but at the end of this training, you will see that it is going to generate some fascinating output, which is going to help you actually understand the outputs of a large language model training. But let's wait for this. Okay, so the large language model training is done. So congratulations. And here you can see that you see the loss curves, which generally goes down as the training run increases. You also have a sample generation, and you can see here that the sample generation, it looks like Shakespeare text. It means that the large language model seems to be performing correctly. Now, one particular attention that this large language model, even though it is a 1 million parameter model, it is also considered to be small. So the quality of output is not going to be fantastic because this is just for learning purposes. Now you can also see some attention heat maps, as well as you'll also see what are the top tokens which are involved in the large language model training. In addition, you'll also see a training log. So my friends, this was a very interactive way to learn large language model. And if you reach this step, congratulations, you have built a large language model from scratch, but in a very easy way, in a very interactive way. So try it out and let me know your feedback. Thank you.